5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello, my name is Esther.
Hello, my name is Shama.
And we are here today to talk about you and every other living organism on Earth as we identify to what extent does capitalism alter trends in biodiversity. Throughout our research, we learned that capitalism have a negative effect on biodiversity, which led us to our key solution of implementing laws and regulations. But before we start, let's talk about biodiversity. We cannot have a healthy ecosystem that we depend on to give us the air we breathe and the food we consume without a variety of plants, animals, and microorganisms. Biodiversity is all the living things in the area. Everything is interconnected and we depend on one another. There are 3 threats to biodiversity, and this includes climate change. Although ecosystem and species have come and gone throughout history as a result of climate change, rapid climate change impacts species' ability to adapt, which leads to an increase in biodiversity loss. Another threat includes changes of land use. One of the primary causes of habitat loss is a desire for additional land as a result of the growing human population. The biggest intermittent threat to biodiversity is due to the shift in land use, which pose a risk of our ecosystem and a possible extinct of species in the future. Finally, the final threat is pollution. If pollution continues to increase, the state of our world ecosystem will find themselves affected greatly, and the entire species of plants, animals, and organisms will either be severely killed off or become extinct completely. According to Helen Bridge, the BBC environmental correspondent, states that 1.9 million square kilometers of habitat lost since 2000, which is about 8 times the size of the UK. 1.1 million wildfire species are threatened with extinction as a result. 1.3 tons of food wasted each year, and $1 trillion is spent on those wasted food, which is a huge loss. To add on to that, waste and food production is an all-time high due to capitalism and corporation competitiveness. 1/3 of fruits and vegetables are getting wasted due to either the size being too big or too small before even reaching markets. Those wasted food that are thrown out adds to the greenhouse gases emission of the environment. We should care because since everything is interconnected, if habitats of animals continue to be lost because of, as the growing human population increase, we need places to store. We need they need safety and security, which is why most trees are being cut down to make houses for people. And because although that benefits humans short term, long term, the habitat loss will lead to the extinctions of animals and harm humans because of the food web and they're interconnected dependently.
So, according to Holly P. Jones, the rate of global species is declining and extinction is happening rapidly, and the rate will most likely increase over the next few years. $21.5 billion is spent annually worldwide on conservation of energy, which shows that global conservation actions is very expensive. However, few conservation actions have been evaluated for their global convention of biological diversity, impeding the prioritization of conservation actions. 60% of primate species are now threatened with extinction, and 75% have declining populations. It's critical to raise global scientific and public awareness of the dangers of the world primates and the cost of their loss to ecosystem. Because they are the closest living biological relatives, we provide insights into the biology, behavior, and evolution of humans, while also having a significant impact on many countries' religion and customs. Based on our solutions, limitations could also be applied, such as the wealthy getting involved in order to stop awareness about how capitalism is destroying our ecosystem. Because changes could result in them spending a lot of money and not getting as much as they're spending, and the First Amendment allows everyone to have the freedom of speech, religion, and assembly, and no law should prohibit our right of freedom, which means everyone have the right to make their own choices, which leads me to talk about having the freedom of your own transportation. Not everyone like to use public transportation, and some people would like to use their own private transportation due to the fact of having a big family or because of social anxiety. There's a lot of more reasons for people not to use public transportations, which would have helped with saving a lot of energy and help with the declining of loss in our ecosystem.
Some of the solutions that are already put in place by government that are already government funded is reusable, recycle, and reduce bins. And although people are using these bins, sometimes they're not really being recycled. Waste production rises as a result driven by capitalist profit. Companies consume more natural resources to make plastic, which is then dumped into rivers, landfalls, and decomposed into the atmosphere. With new and improved transportation services already put in place, they are very affordable and convenient. But because people have freedom to take their own transportation, it is not very reliable. This solution is not very reliable because, as Shama stated, there are huge families where they will need a car in order to get from one location to another. Okay, but something that we can limit is the amount of items being thrown out of cars, which leads to our solution. Our big government-funded idea is to include traffic lights, traffic and neighborhood cameras, like shown in this picture, that will take a picture of any items they see that is being thrown out of a vehicle and fine them $150. Most people are likely to follow these rules because of the fine that is against it. For people who do not have a vehicle but still litter, one idea that we had was to fund more trash cans so that we could reduce the amount of trash being put in place. There will, overall, if we reduce the amount of littering that happens, this could help reduce soil, water, and pollution, and air pollution.
So we've learned from U.S. history that monopolies have been in charge of the industry for years, and they're also in charge of maintaining our economy. They care a lot about money more than they care how their corporation is affecting the loss of biodiversity in our ecosystem. So doing things that could result in them losing money in order to make changes is not an option. We can enter to Tesla owning most of the superchargers in the world, and only their cars can use it. Tesla uses lithium iron EV car batteries, which cause air pollution and water toxicity. Toxic chemicals like hydrochloric acid are used during the process of making Tesla batteries and can leak during the mining process and contaminate the water in the area, which also violates the human rights of having a healthy, clean, and sustainable environment. We can implicate our solutions on cosmetic companies by urging them to use more environment-friendly products. Public transportation, green organizations, and businesses could promote the use of less energy when people use public transportation, and how green organizations are here to prevent the loss of biodiversity in our ecosystem in order to stay a rich and diverse planet in the near future.
Thank you. Okay, Ms. Lean, give one specific way that your thinking changed as a result of learning about Shama's findings.
Well, one thing that was Shama's finding was that during our research, she brought up the idea that because of the human population growing, that affects animals. I never really thought of it like that. I always thought that if the human population continued to grow, that it doesn't really interfere with animals or plants. But because of the limited resources, plants are decreasing, animals are decreasing because humans need to consume food in order to survive.
Thank you. Hi, Shama, what is a way in which your team's resolution made you think differently about your own individual research?
A way in which my team's resolution makes me think differently about my own individual research is by learning how capitalism affecting our ecosystem is more than just monopolies being greedy and selfish.